Okay, so this video is really to follow up to my previous video that I loaded earlier today. This elaborates more on the Restrict Act, and it also elaborates more on what's going on with the situation with the transgender community arming themselves, stating it's out of self-defense, but in all reality it's an aggression, and it's being used to push the divisiveness. This is all tactical, and it's all strategic. Divide and conquer, continue to play each other against each other. Meanwhile, they continue to put legislation in place that is stripping your rights away. All the while, everybody's distracted with all this bull crap and all this garbage. It doesn't even matter. The things that need to be paid attention to are getting overlooked continuously.
According to the media, female Audrey Hale, who identified as a male, murdered 6 at a Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee, including 3 children. An anti-gun lobbyist who witnessed the Highland Park parade shooting was at the crime scene with her friend, who lost a daughter at the Waffle House shooting. They spent the day telling all the cameras how they were coincidentally there on vacation and that America needs more gun laws.
I was actually in town just on vacation, but I'm a mass shooting survivor. My son and I survived a mass shooting in Highland Park. I am in Tennessee on a family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. We have to do something. We all have to call our lawmakers, and we all have to make our lawmakers make change now, or this is going to keep happening, and it's going to be your kid, and your kid, and your kid, and your kid next.
We now have people in America, and this is not the first time we've heard this, who have experienced more than one mass shooting. That woman was at Highland Park. She's now a witness to the shooting in Nashville.
The U.S. military routinely orchestrates simulated crises all over the country and hires civilians to be crisis actors. And we've seen the use of crisis actors in several major events, such as 9/11 and the Boston Marathon bombing. The anti-gun lobby has been accused of using crisis actors for years, but this is a whole new level. And when we look at the details of the Nashville shooting, the presence of the gun lobbyist does not appear to be a coincidence. The Nashville shooting has signs of a typical false flag. The woman being touted by the media as the shooter's good friend, who received the Instagram confession, is actually just a childhood acquaintance who says she was contacted because she's a local media personality. The alleged shooter was under doctor's care for an emotional disorder, and the shooter is seen wearing 2 different pairs of shoes within the hour, Pumas going in and Vans going out. But there is more to this false flag than the typical gun grab. This Saturday, a group called Trans Radical Activist Network is organizing a protest in Washington, D.C. called Day of Vengeance. This is reportedly a new movement called Militant Trans, an armed branch of the LGBTQ cult that is threatening to kill those who oppose sex change ops for children. Just hours after the Nashville shooting, the governor of Arizona's press secretary tweeted a picture of a woman wielding 2 handguns with the caption, "Us when we see transphobes." This is followed by what appears to be online support. Madonna raises money in Nashville, not for the 3 murdered children, but for the trans community. A trans named Adam Denker, who now goes by Kayla, recently made headlines for posting a short video with a rifle, threatening to fight back against transphobes. Journalist Andy No is reporting that Denker is a member of Antifa and is former military, which shouldn't be a surprise. The military has changed their code to allow for transsexuals. Military psychologists have been pushing confused personnel into getting radical sexual reassignment surgeries that the military is now paying for. So far in 2023 alone, the U.S. government has spent $10 million to research LGBTQ Americans. And that's nothing. In the year 2017, well over 100 organizations gave $185 million to support the LGBTQ community, and the top spender has been Big Pharma. The mentally ill are being weaponized by the New World Order, and we, the people, are being goaded into seeing them as the enemy.
Is Senator Lindsey Graham a liar or incompetent or both?
You got to be kidding me, Senator. Did you read this?
Yeah, I don't think I support the Restrict Act.
You don't support this because you were named as one of the supporters, because this is garbage.
Is this the one with John? There's two bills out there. One allows a review of businesses that are connected to China, give the Secretary the ability to protect our data. Is that the Restrict Act?
Sure, congressional staffers get legislation co-sponsored with a rubber stamp all the time as senators line their pockets over lunch with lobbyists. But hours before Graham appeared on Jesse Waters, the news had broken on the treasonous Restrict Act, deceptively presented by its supposed author, Virginia Democrat Senator Mark Warner, that Graham and 11 Democrats and 10 other Republicans co-sponsored.
The problem is real with China, but the solution can be more damaging than the problem.
I agree.
Is sort of what you're telling me.
Don't
That's
push
what
back
you're telling me.
on the United States citizens.
Yeah, no, I
for
understand what
something
you're
China's
saying.
doing. All right.
No, I totally get that, and constitutionally, we can't do all the things you just said.
The language in the bill reads like a George Orwell novel, crushing the First and Fourth Amendments with doublespeak aimed at foreign adversaries, while awarding sweeping powers to Biden's Secretary of Commerce to set in motion the rounding up of those standing in the way of the compromised Biden administration's New World Order directives.
To be clear, I'm not a lawyer. I am a MacBook repairman, and I am pulling this out of my ass at 1 a.m. in a chair that got scratched up by a cat. But it is the purpose of this act to provide the public with such information while protecting the rights of individuals and the ability of the government to carry out its responsibilities. So what it's saying is that this act is not subject to Section 551, 553 through 559, and Section 701 through 707 of Title V United States Code, aka Freedom of Information requests. We have laws that have been passed to try and limit the influence that lobbyists and corporations have over our government. Those do not apply to this. We have laws that allow the citizens of the country to be able to ask for information from their government regarding decision-making processes, to be able to get access to documents and things that, they kind of paid for as taxpayers, to understand how the government is making the decisions. And that doesn't apply here either. Covered transaction means a transaction which an entity described in subparagraph B has any interest, including through an interest in a contract for the provision of technology or service or any such class of transactions. So a covered transaction in this case could literally be that you host a website. Are you undermining a democratic institution, or are you just saying something that is counter to the narrative that's currently being set? This is scary, and we have enough information. We are at a time that is politically charged enough that you bet your ass that this is going to be misused.
Unleashing enforcement by an AI-driven surveillance state, while by seeming coincidence, major banks continue to fall like dominoes to the coming digital currency maelstrom. As Congress continues its theater of combating Chinese data harvesting, the architecture of the American surveillance state is set in stone. WikiLeaks published the CIA's Vault 7 documents back in 2017, detailing the malware tools developed by the agency's Operations Support Branch to compromise smart devices, operating systems, most web browsers, and smartphones. While the artificial intelligence, poised to police those who seek the truth, is so far advanced that tech leaders are now calling to pause AI development because it poses too big a threat. Currently, the Restrict Act and a similar bill policing election interference in the House, known as the Data Act, have barely met any resistance. If the bills pass, a 21st century cyber Stasi will be given carte blanche to infiltrate any form of internet technology deemed fit, silencing and imprisoning dissent in jackbooted situations that will make Ruby Ridge and Waco look antiquated.
I told Randy, I said, you don't really understand what the full weight and power of this government is and what it would really mean if you want a confrontation with it. I think I used the term that it's like a locomotive once you get it rolling down the tracks, it's hard to stop.
While ushering in a Bohemian Grove-inspired nightmare of tyranny and perversion as our children are openly preyed upon, and transgender petty tyrants keep the remaining population under Agenda 2030 submission. Contact your representative right now before self-government becomes a thing of the past.
We've already established that this child should never have been exploited sexually in an adult entertainment show like this. But having a leash attached to a child to an adult male is a whole other level of objectification and sexualization. The man leading the child on the leash is referred by the child as the child's father. But it's not the child's father, it's their drag father. And this objectified relationship is eerily similar to the pimp-prostitute relationship where prostitutes call them their daddies. This is sick.
Protect trans kids! 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 Protect trans.
Like I said before, these charges against Trump, all this, nothing will stop it. He'll become president again, and these people will go out and cause chaos and mayhem everywhere. And anybody who stands up to protect themselves against them will be prosecuted to the fullest.